Hey everyone, it's Carol with O'Brien Custom Turning. I'm going to be painting for a little while. I thought I'd sit and chat with you. Again, I'm sorry about this bright light that I can't help. I've got really poor vision and I have to have the lighted magnifier glass enabled to see. We've tried a light pad and that just simply doesn't work for me. We're working on trying an alternate solution. For now, this just is what it is. So if you want to hang in there with me, I'll chat with you for a little bit and we'll make it work the best we can. I am working on Bamboo Dreams. It's right here by Abraham Hunter from Diamond Art Club. And I actually don't use the little stickers. And the reason why is because I reuse my containers over and over again. So I just have the numbers written on them like this by hand. So I'll reuse the same ones. So instead, I copied the side of the code and the legend of the canvas. I took actually the sticker sheet and put it in my copy machine and enlarged it and made a photocopy, and I used that as my actual legend, is what I use to determine what I need. And even that you'll see that I put under my magnifier to see what I'm doing and which codes I need. So my first one, I am going with number 317. All of us know that is a grayish color. And my little boat, of course, I told you the other day when we talked, I have release paper hot glued on the back so I can lay it right down on my painting and it won't stick and be any problem at all. So I talked to Caitlin today and I'm like, what on earth am I going to talk to people about? What do people care about? I may think something's interesting, but she said, well, start at the beginning. You haven't ever told them how and why and when you're diamond painting anyway. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, okay, that might be interesting to some people. So way back when I was very, very little, I always have been very crafty with my mom because mom was always very crafty. She always had something in her hand. Cross stitch or Afghan stitch or knitting or crochet, or it didn't matter, but it was always something that mom was doing. So I just grew up with handheld kind of artwork. And for a really long time, I crocheted and decided I didn't like to crochet because my hands, apparently this little pinky, I hold things way too tight. And I just couldn't figure out why my projects never came out as pretty as my mom's did. She kept telling me, well, it's because you're holding your tension too tight, Carol. And I'd try again, and we'd rip it out, and I'd put it back in, and it'd be the same thing. So ultimately, I decided crochet was not for me. So then I thought, well, maybe Afghan stitch. Surely I can do that, because, that looks really kind of cool. It looks like knitting on one side, and crochet on the other. Well, darn if it wasn't the exact same problem. That it ended up that you're holding the tension too tight, Carol. So that also was not for me. So I tried cross stitching, and back at that time my vision was still pretty bad, but not quite like what it is now. And I was able to cross stitch, but I couldn't handle anything on any smaller than 14 count Aida. But I could do pretty well with the 14 count Aida. So I did a lot of cross stitch projects and enjoyed them. I liked working with the colors and such because we discovered very quickly, while I love artwork as far as looking at it, I like to look at pretty paintings and such, I have zero creativity of my own. I'm one of those, Mom always jokes, she and I both, we can't draw straight lines with rulers. So I do really well if you give me the parameters and tell me what to do. So cross stitch was really a good thing for me. And then I also discovered that I enjoyed latch hook because it was pretty much the same thing. It was that tedious pick up a hook and put it where it goes, and someone else told me exactly where it went. And for the most part, used big tools and implements, so I didn't have a problem manipulating that either. So I did all right with that. Well, as time went on, and I continued with the cross stitch for a while, and I was always so frustrated because I couldn't do like my mom did. And Mom always did these amazing, beautiful projects on 22 count and 24 count, and she even has some she's done on linen. And you know, if you're a cross stitcher, you know that when you work on linen, you even cross over 2 boxes to make them. So she's crossing over these linen pieces, and they're just absolutely beautiful. Sometime I'll show you. I have a few pieces here in the house, and I'll take you around and show you the one she's made me, and they're amazing. And I couldn't do any of those just because, you know, to do those on 14 count, they would be humongous when they're done. But I stuck with my cross stitch and my latch hook and spread out into doing some other things, and then ended up having children. And of course, with children, crafting went by the wayside for many years just because there wasn't time with being a mom and homeschooling. Now, we'll talk about that sometime. Homeschooling was definitely an adventure. So we moved up here to Indiana, and most of my children had moved out. All that was left at home was Patrick and Caitlin, and Patrick was almost 18, so he was going to be moving on his way very soon. And I came across one of those Facebook ads, I'm sure many of you saw those, for diamond painting. I'm like, oh, you know, I might be able to do that. That looks like it's pretty easy because, you know, it tells you exactly what to do. And so I thought, you know, yeah, I could certainly handle that. So it was November of 2017. And I ordered my first diamond painting kit. And of course, I ordered it from China. And I had not found a diamond painting group yet. I hadn't done any research because one of the things about me is I'm very impulsive. And I don't research before I do things. I just jump in with both feet, full wholehearted, and then do my research after the fact. So I didn't realize, especially purchasing something at Christmas time, that it was going to take a very long time to get this kit. And I got my kit sometime in February or March of the next year. And before it came in, I ended up with a pretty serious eye issue. And I had gone to see my doctor, and I was diagnosed with a peripheral vitreous detachment in both eyes. And while my physician says that that's very normal in people that are my age or older, I had never realized it. And that's with me being a registered nurse. I'd never even heard of it before. But it impacted my vision again in a negative way, on top of the fact that by this time I'm now legally blind in my right eye anyway, and I have a blind spot, and the eye turns in. So I open my kit when I get it, and I'm like, there's just absolutely no way at all. So I packed it all away, and I put it back in the box and tucked it up on a shelf. And got to probably April or May of that year, just a couple months later, and my mom came up to visit and spend a few days with us. And whether we were talking about that she had seen or heard it, or something, I don't even recall exactly, but I pulled my kit out to show my mom, and she was really fascinated. So we ordered her a kit for when she got back home because she thought she would enjoy it. But yet I still packed mine back away and tucked it back in the box until we got at least a little bit of resolution with my eyes. And I finally pulled it out. It was probably the beginning of June that year. And my first kit, thank goodness, was a landscape kit from Paint with Diamonds. It was a 55 by 70 full square kit that was a very nice kit. And what I mean by that is the diamonds all fit nicely together. They were all the right size and shape. They weren't stuck together. So it mostly worked okay compared to the other kits we have that are just nightmare kits. Of course, I had my problems with it, with my vision and with my hands, and Sean had to help me a lot figure out how to work through all those things. But after we figured out all of those problems, I realized it was something that I really enjoyed and could do well. So we ended up that in the interim, we had started the business and were selling diamond painting pens. And then I am ordering diamond painting kits. And again, remember I told you I don't do things, just a little bit at a time. I'm one of those very impulsive people. So I'm buying diamond painting kits and, I'm not paying attention who they're coming from or anything. Because again, I'm a new diamond painter and I don't know any better. And so I went through some kits then at the beginning that had they been my first ones, there probably wouldn't have been a second one. And we wouldn't be sitting here right now having this chat because I would never have diamond painted again. My second big project, I actually did a 5-panel. It also came from Paint with Diamonds, which really surprised me because my first one was so nice. But it was a 5-panel from Paint with Diamonds. And it was a home, Home. And it was absolutely horrible. It was a red pattern, and I've determined that red is just really hard for me because of the vision thing. But the symbols on the pattern were running together. 3/4 of them, I couldn't decipher the difference. When my mom came up to visit me, she helped me finish all of the red sections. She would leave the other parts for me to work on, but she would do the red sections because I just couldn't decipher them. So that one became a team project that the 2 of us finished. And I said more than once, had that been my first project, there definitely would not have ever been a second one because it was so painful and miserable to do. Since then, what else have I done? Oh, I have fallen in love with the partial owls. That too, if you look on our Facebook page and use Owl Hall for a search term, you can see all of my owls. Sean calls my office Owl Hall because I've got 40 or 50 partial shaped owls in there. And then I also have the owls on my desk. I have a ceramic cookie holder, cookie jar that was a gift from a friend. I've got a wind chime that was a gift from the same friend, all hanging from the window. I've just got lots and lots of owls in there. So that's called Owl Hall. But I discovered the partial shape owls. So I have a whole bunch of those that I did. And the plan ultimately is literally they're just going to hang touching almost, top of the roof to the bottom of the floor, side by side by side. I've got a few that are clocks. I've got a couple night lights, again, all in the owl family. I have a few on my desk that are little pen holders. They're owls. I have one that's on my front door that's, he says welcome, that we can change his wings to match the season with what he holds. And he holds different things. Over the entryway between where we have our shipping area and my office, right now I have 7 little, they're like 20 by 25 centimeters. I have 7 little owls that sit up there. Eventually there'll be, I think it's 16 total, that'll go all the way around that archway when I get them all done. I have a welcome owl that sits across the other side. That's an owl's that it says welcome on it. I have a owl from Harry Potter that was a gift to me. Somebody was working on that one at home and either didn't like it or it was a duplicate or whatever. So it's Hedwig, and he sent that one to me that I have finished. One of my second loves is nativity sets. So I have a stained glass nativity set that stays up year round. It's just a tiny one. And then my big project for the nativity set genre, I did a 109 by 120 full square with 239 colors using a pattern named the Nativity, created by Donna Gelsinger. And I got a cross stitch pattern from Heaven and Earth Designs and then created that on a blank canvas. And I use Pattern Keeper when I do those on my iPad, and I work in sections of like 30 squares across and 20 squares up and down to keep it small enough I can keep track of where I am. Compared to when I'm working this way, I'm working on a much bigger section. But on that one, it took me a full year to complete that one. And that one also stays up year round because it definitely was a very, very labor-intensive labor of love. Sean made the frame for that one for me. I have a 60 by 90 full square Jesus and the Cross that is from Paint with Diamonds. That one stays up year round. My last really big project is a custom that came from Evermoment. It's a 110 by 230 full square of Jesus and the Last Supper. I used the public domain photo for that one. It has 60 colors. That one sits in my living room over top of our couch, and that one also Sean made the frame for me, and it's just literally screwed right into the wall, so it's up permanently until the day we leave this house. We've told the children that it just needs to stay with the house till we move out, and that if they give it to Goodwill, we'll have to haunt them because it'll break my heart, all the time and energy and effort that went into that one. So what's next? Well, obviously this little panda that I'm working on will be the one that gets finished first. This one is Caitlin's. I don't know what she's going to do with it, if she even has a plan. I have to finish this awful 5-panel seascape. I talked about that one in my last painting and chat video. And then I have several more of the tiny little 20 by 30 owls that are going to go right over here around the archway to the dining room. And I have several Diamond Art Club Christmas paintings. And then I own the whole collection of Spangler draglings from Diamond Art Club. So I don't know which I'm going to do next. We'll just see how the mood strikes me and what comes up. Okay, so that was it for that color. Now what I do, I've got a whole square uncovered, and I just start at the top left, and I work one color at a time, everything of that one color in the square, and then I go to the next color in the square and do all of that color. I am actually working with a new pen that I didn't show you all last time because it was a surprise to me. I don't get pens very often, and people are really surprised by that. But you're married to a turner, you should have as many as you want. Well, not really, because if he's making me pens, he's not making you pens. So I really don't have that many. I have probably 50 in my collection, which, yes, that is a lot. However, that's over the past 5 years, and that's me being married to the turner. So that's not as many. But this one is my last one. Sean actually turned this one. No, that's not what I meant. Of course he turned this one, but he casted this one. It's got a red and gold glitter in it for Christmas. And then obviously he turned it and finished it for me. And it was a surprise. I was not expecting that one. And I don't have this shape. This is a bow tie with swooped ends. I don't think I have one of those in my collection yet. So I thought that we were going to be using this one for a Christmas giveaway when I walked out and saw him working on it. And instead, he finished it for me. So I am trying this one out and using it today and seeing how it goes. And you'll notice I have not had to change my pen yet. And it's been, what, about 20 minutes? And for me, that's pretty good. Some days I have to change my pen about every 5 minutes. And then there's other days that I can go 20, 30, 40 minutes. You just never know. So for me to have gone that long with one pen in one setting is pretty good. Well, I think that'll probably wrap it up for today, because that's been about 20 minutes. And you probably are amazed that I could just babble on and on with barely taking a breath in the midst. So we'll sit and we'll chat another day. If you have any questions for me, of course, drop them down in the comments and I'll answer them next time we chat. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.